Well, more of the same old, same old. I'm on my way to Taliban. I'm pulling out quickly. We're getting very busy on this road nowadays. This is the National Highway, so of course it's got heavy goods traffic on the way. I remember when I first came out here, Sleeping Dogs had the right of way. There's very little traffic. Okay, so I'm past that big truck. You know, in our time doing a vlog, it never feels quite right when I say vlog. Vlog sounds like it makes more sense, but the V is for video, obviously. But we have met some incredible people with incredible stories, and then we met a lot of people that we've helped, and they too have had incredible stories. But there's a couple of people that are really quite they're a constant in my life. My job in our vlog. There we are again. My job is to talk to people. It's my job to talk to people. It's my job to communicate, not just talk on video. It's my job to communicate as well, and it's a part of my job that I love. I write to people. Now, writing to people is really where I started, because I began to write such long emails and messages to people that I realized that I really should be using that material to actually have a vlog. And so we started to use that when we first came over, which is pretty well 10 years now. We realized that we needed to raise more income. We needed to raise our income. So, as I'd already had a vlog of sorts, I'd done a few videos and posted them, but it had never ever quite worked out. I did have some help from a lady that was in charge of, she ran a writers group, and she offered to help me, and she set up a vlog for me, a channel, and the channel, she called the channel, unfortunately I told her that, well, maybe I should write about my time as a child surviving the war years. I was born in 1939, the start of the war, and even though I still maintain that it wasn't my fault, World War II, you know, I'm the middle child, and the middle child gets blamed for everything. But anyway, this lady actually started it for me, and I gave her my first, the address that I remember the most was 20 Tamworth Street. Of course, this is in a very poor part of Manchester, not quite the slums, but only a step above. Very poor, people living on or just above the poverty line, which is what my parents were and my family. So I asked her to start that. Well, she did do the start of that video. She did the start of that vlog, but she called it, for some reason best known to herself, she called it 20 Tamworth Drive. Now, a drive for anybody living on or just above the poverty line is just not the way it can be. So I never developed it. I never worked at it. I think I may have posted one video on there. You can still find it. It's a poorly made video of me singing at the Shine Hall, so you'll find it as Terence Flannery at the Shine Hall, where I did a little spot for a charity to raise money, not for me, but for whatever charity that was. And I was happy to perform for that, because I used to perform at that time mainly as a trombone player in the concert band on Sanibel Island, and we did quite a few concerts with that. But this was an aside to raise money for that charity. So we came here with that little experience, but you can still find that as evidence that our intention to create a website, not a YouTube vlog, was already established there. Some of the people tried to say that I'd been helped to set up a site here. We already had that experience. But anyway, in doing all of that, I did meet and form what I consider solid relationships with people that I write to almost on a daily basis. So I'm thinking of the four that I'm thinking of are not by any means the total number, but the first one is a man that is in the UK. I know two internet friends who are now in the UK suffering whatever is happening there, so I get first-hand information on that. And I have a lot of other people that I write to on a regular basis who are living in America. So I tend to get, even though it is anecdotal information or stories about what conditions are there, I do get first-hand stories about how life is there. But my friend that I'm referring to now is, I call him, when I refer to him on any other name or to any other person, I always refer to him as Hardcore John. Well, when I talk to John, I call him the good son. He is the good son because his own particular story is one of saving his mother from dying. Some 12 years ago, his stepfather wanted to put his mother into a care unit for the elderly and the sick, kind of very close to those hospice type care units where they help the person to die. And my friend John didn't feel that his mother was ready to die, even though at that time she had shown signs of Alzheimer's, which is very, very well advanced now. And John is her caregiver. He takes care of her. They have some help from the National Health Service, but the National Health Service sends nurses around, and what these nurses do for his mother is they want to put her, because obviously the woman now is incontinent. She's not in control of any of her normal functions. She doesn't feed herself, she doesn't go to the toilet herself, she doesn't know when to sleep, she doesn't know how to do any of these. And John does all of that for her. He bathes her, washes her, takes her to the toilet, cleans her. It's a story of a good son in my mind, which is heartbreaking, because the 12 years ago that he took her and became her caregiver is a great story of sacrifice, because John is an extremely capable man. I believe that he was referred to by the local population. I think it was it Ibiza, somewhere like that. And he went out there and he set up a business, which you're allowed to do out there, unlike the Philippines. He set up a business doing tours of all the different places and doing things like I'm at the side of the road, as you've probably gathered now. And he did tours. He took people out on dolphin watches and on whale watches and all that kind of thing. And he made a lot of money. And as in the case of so many stories, he actually lost that money through a life that would be a whole other video on its own. And I really wanted to talk about the time that he has been my friend, which I'm very proud to have him as a friend, as with my other people that I want to talk about now. And John has now given up and he lives in a small house with his stepfather and mother, and his health has suffered greatly in the last 10 years. He has had several, I believe they call stents, put in for his heart. Suffers from extremely bad high blood pressure, and is in need. I'm not trying to raise funds now, by the way. I'm just telling you the story that he needs to have a particular valve replaced, but his research on what has been happening on the last few years is such that he doesn't trust himself to be under anaesthetic with the NHS, which perhaps is another story as well. But he has researched what has been happening with the pandemic, if we call it that for the moment, and he is the one that keeps me informed about all of the links that I need to be able to do my own research on that and do my own fact checking myself, which in a recent video I suggested that everybody should do their own fact checking and not rely on others. You can find many sources of information that cross-reference on YouTube, and there are other sites that you can go to, not just YouTube. And these other sites are difficult to find sometimes, depending who you are. But they need to be found and they need to be researched. And this is one of the things that my friend John has done. Apart from this incredible sacrifice of taking care of his mum, who is in the late years of her life now. She's actually, I think she's in her 90s, and he still writes to me every day. We correspond every day, and it is an honour to know someone who has made such an incredible sacrifice for their mother. I confess that I was not a good son myself. I left home when I was 15, as I have said on other videos. I left home and went in the army when I was 15, and I never really quite reconnected with my family after that, except my brother, who I was very close to, my sister, not quite so. And so this is probably one of the reasons that I admire John so much, is that he made that sacrifice, and he's paying a price now, because he is not actually strong enough to lift his mother, who is about 120, 130 pounds, and he really isn't strong enough to lift her on and off, in and out of bed and all of those things. But he does that, and he sometimes suffers greatly for it. I only wish that I could help him, but as I said, I'm not fundraising now, only telling stories. And so I'm at my destination now, just on the outskirts of Taliban, so I will end off on this. Thanks for listening.